Hello, everybody. Good evening. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to Wednesday Workshop Live with Build a Quilt. I'm Diana. I'm so thrilled to be back with you guys. I see a bunch of you. Hello, hello. It's so good to be back. It seems like, and I'm just trying to get my comments up there. Click the wrong button. It seems like forever since we've been together on Wednesday night. It's only been a week. But yes, we had some things that had to happen last Wednesday. It was a little time critical. So thank you so much for your understanding. I appreciate it. Good evening, Sue. So nice to see you. If you're here, go ahead and introduce yourselves in the comments, either over on Facebook, because I can see you, or here on YouTube. Either way, would love to say hello to you. I hope everyone is well. I hope everyone is surviving the heat. Can you believe it is 90 degrees? And it is the middle of September. Now, if you live in warm places, maybe Texas or California or Florida, somewhere like that, that might be like the norm for you. I know when we lived in Florida years ago, Dave and I, it was hot year round. So, but here in Illinois, I'm supposed to be in my sweaters now, or almost in my sweaters now. I'm supposed to be getting out the bigger, thicker quilts to snuggle up in the evening while we watch telly. Not happening. Hi, Ruth. Welcome. Welcome, Ruth, our good friend from Lake Stevens, Washington. Ruth knows I love Lake Stevens. I just adore it. All of Washington. All the places I've ever lived, they're the best place ever, because I've loved every place Dave and I have ever lived. So lots of fun. So please go ahead, continue to introduce yourselves, say hello to one another, because that's what we're about, right? Community here at Build a Quilt. So yeah, it seems I've been working like nonstop all day today, some of yesterday and some of Monday, because we still have things going on for about another week and a half before things will like settle into the normal time. And it's been a bloomin' 90 degrees almost every single day. However, I will say lower humidity and dew point, it hasn't felt as bad, but still like in the middle of the day, it's been just hot. So I'm ready for that to come down. Hello, our good friend T. Hi, Tanita. How are you, dear? 83 in South Carolina. Now, that's not too bad, actually, for you guys, is it? That's kind of, you guys are almost in sweater weather at 83. I think next week we're going to be in the 60s and 70s. I sure hope so. Weather is kind of my thing. I'm kind of like that uncle or that grandfather who sits around with the weather report and watches the station and tracks the hurricanes. I'm kind of like that, if I can admit it. Of course I can. You guys are my friends, and we're all friends. So of course I can. Let's take this banner scrolling across the bottom off before it gives me vertigo and I start going, ooh, loopy. But yeah, it's been super, super hot. So I'm really ready. We're gone all day tomorrow again, and pretty much all day Friday again. And so it's supposed to still be hot. So I hope next week cools down. I really do. But it is lovely to be back with you guys, because I did a thing. I finished the layout today of our Quilt Lab yearly quilt, because we're gonna be doing it and starting it soon. So if you're new to us here at Build a Quilt, every week or every month we have a new block called Quilt Lab. Comes in 3 sizes, do all kinds of things. Sometimes we have projects that go with it. But towards the end of the year, I pick and choose things and I create a full-size quilt for us. Or this year, we've been working on the idea of the 50 by 50, 60 by 60, those kinds of quilts, kind of a square quilt. Let me know. This is not the question of the week. We'll get to that later for the chance to win the block. But please let me know. Do you like square quilts? I kind of am all about them now. I'm almost to the point where I don't know that I would ever make a rectangular quilt again. I just love making square quilts. They're very symmetrical to me, these square quilts I've been putting together. They just seem very cohesive somehow. But anyway, hello, Rosemarie. Rosemary, correct me. You like to be called Rose. Is that correct, dear? I don't want to call you by your full name if you just prefer to call Rose. Let me know in the comments. I want to make sure and get that right. But we're so happy to have you with us tonight. So I finished the quilt. I finished the yes, Rose. Hi, Rose. So good to see you, my dear. There is a young woman who works for my husband, Dave, whose name is Rose. And she's a lovely young woman. She's just out of college. So, and I had an aunt, Rose, too. She was my uncle's wife, his second wife, but she was still Aunt Rose. And, well, still is Aunt Rose, I should say. And so I love that name, Rose. I love flower names for girls. Lily, Rose, Violet. I love those names. So anyway, do you guys want to see the layout early? Do you? Do you want to see it? Shake your head. Yay. Scream, shout. Do you want to see the layout of the quilt for the end of the year? Because we're going to be starting it in just a few weeks. So here we go. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Now, did you think I was really going to show it to you? I will. I'm sorry. I will show you just that much of it. That's all I'm going to show you. Because it's a surprise. It's a surprise, you guys. You're going to see it in just, you might see it. I might have to do a special video next week to introduce it and talk about it, but we'll see. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. You guys are mad at me now. I'm so sorry that I teased you a little bit there. But it is done. The layout is done. And I showed it to Dave and he went, holy cow, that's one of your best ever. So I hope that's true. I hope you guys are going to love it as much as he does. Tomorrow, one of the things I'm doing in the kind of the late afternoon, I've told you all before, it takes me about 2 hours to get to a quilt shop, a fabric shop. Well, tomorrow afternoon, I'm going and I'm taking said quilt. I'll show you a little corner. There you go. Oh, can't show you anymore. But I'm taking this with me and I'm going to assign final colors and like a collection and all that to it so that when I bring it to you guys, the fabric that I'm using for it will be available for you to use as well. That it's something available in the market now that you'll be able to go and purchase and use if that's what you want to do. If you decide, I don't want to do those colors or those fabrics or that designer isn't my person, you can always mix and match it up, of course. But I want you to have all the information you know so that the quilt, as it is going to be presented, can be the quilt, the exact quilt that you make. So that's tomorrow. That's going to be tomorrow afternoon. Then Dave, while we're over there, is taking me for a nice little spaghetti supper at a nice little, it's not a fancy restaurant at all. It's like you walk in, you order at the countertop and you sit in the booth kind of place, but they make the best homemade spaghetti sauce next to mine. I have to say, because my best friend's mom was Italian and taught me how to make good sauce. So, but theirs is delicious. So he's going to take me there for dinner before we drive all the way back home because it's going to be a long day and he's going with me. But that's tomorrow. So you can kind of see the shadow of it there, but you don't get to see no more. So sorry. And while we're speaking of it, this block is our block of the month, the Inside Out block. And that block is going to be featured quite a bit as background in the quilt. So if you don't have, I know if you're a Quilt Lab subscriber, you've got the block. But if you're not and you want to do the quilt with us, when I do this video introducing it, there will be a list of which blocks we're using and which ones you will need if you're not a subscriber. If you're a subscriber already, you'll have them without any difficulty, okay? Alrighty, and I'll tell you where you can get these and all at the end. If you are new to us, I'll share all that information at the end. So I've been busy. And tonight, this was supposed to happen last week when I got pulled away unexpectedly. Last week's thing was unexpected. And again, I'm so sorry. I hate doing that to you guys more than anything in the world. For one, I hate missing our time together. I love being with you guys. I wish, we could see each other and talk and chat and all that. Maybe we'll do a big Zoom meetup sometime here in the fall. If you guys would like to do that, where we just all talk and maybe we do a little something together, let me know in the comments, because I have the ability to do that for us. And it would just be a live where we're all together, and maybe take one of our blocks and do a little something with it that we've already got out. It would be not anything that would cost you anything. It would just be a time for us to be together. If you'd like to do something like that, let me know in the comments right now, and I will think about setting up a time to do that. Because I would love to meet up with all of you guys and see your beautiful faces and your shiny smiles. I would love it. All righty. So last week we were supposed to do the new little block, the hexagon. Do you guys love the hexagon like I do? Oh, T says yes. T, my dear, you and I have to meet up. I can't wait to meet you. I can't wait to meet you all. And T, I want an update, dear, on that tulip pink quilt with the scrappy string piecing blocks. Just keeping you honest, friend, that you're getting it done. I'm sure you are, because you were close last time you told me. You were really close. Sue, that would be great. Oh, I'd love to meet you, Sue. Absolutely. Sue, I must say, has been here with us on the channel almost since the absolute very beginning. And you all have been around a great deal of time, the ones of you that are here tonight that I can see that have signed in. But Sue has been there a very long time, and I would love to meet you face to face. I'd love to meet you all face to face. Just absolutely. But we were supposed to do the hexagon, and I love the hexagon so much. It is the very first thing I ever did in quilting when I was 7, and my grandmother and I, when she started teaching me. So this is kind of my story. Can I share that a little bit with you? My grandmother was a quilter extraordinaire. She's had exhibits of her quilts at the State House in Missouri. When she passed, she had over 300 tops that were pieced but not quilted, that she just hadn't gotten to. And a lot of them were because she would piece a quilt when she taught somebody to quilt, but she might not finish hers. So there was just like a literally floor to ceiling stack of them. And every time we saw her, Gran, can you show me the quilts? Gran, I want to see the quilts. Gran, are there any new quilts? I mean, I was gaga for them. And so by the time I was 7, she said to me, if you love these so much, you're going to learn how to make your own, because I'm not going to give you one. You have to learn how to make it. Because I had asked her for a quilt. She said, I'm not giving you one. You have to learn how to make it. And of all of her daughters and all of her granddaughters or grandchildren, period, I'm the only one she ever taught to quilt that I know of. None of my cousins have ever said anything about Gran teaching them to quilt. But I had that desire, so I think that's why. And me being a lefty, you know, was a nightmare for her because she was a righty. Let's see here. T, you have finished 143 blocks. Oh, bless your heart. Now you have to lay it out and work on your placement. Then it's time to sew it all together. Yes, it is. Oh, you are so close. I can't wait to see it. I can't wait. I know your blocks are beautiful. By the time you've got it laid out, it's going to be gorgeous. If you get any questions, you get stuck, you want an opinion, you know, I've always got one. Just give me a little check on the email and we can chat if you want to. But she said, the next time you come, we're going to start your first quilt. And I was like, oh, great. And I thought we were going to do something, you know, like sewing blocks together. And I didn't know anything about what it would take. The very first thing she taught me was how to hand stitch a 1/4 inch seam. She wouldn't let me do anything until I got that down. So I had 2 blocks. I would sew it together. We'd measure it, take it out, sew it together and measure it, take it out. And I did that probably for 3 months before I could, with my eye, see if I had my 1/4 inch seam. And so when I was done with that, we were looking at patterns together from a little magazine she had back then. And I saw the Grandma's Flower Garden. I didn't know it was English paper pieced. I didn't know the hexagons were a pain in the tuchus to do. I had no idea. I just knew that I loved it. There was so much beautiful color and there were flowers. So I knew that. And she said, oh, honey, this is really a bit more advanced than you're ready for. No, Gran, no, please, I want to make the flower quilt, please, please. So we did, and it ended up taking us 2 to 3 years to make that quilt because it was English paper pieced. And back then, English paper piecing was done, like we would cut out all the little hexagons out of newspaper and use those. And being a lefty, boy, was that a challenge for me. But we got it done. That quilt to this day hangs in my house all the time. It still is vibrant and beautiful because I don't put it in the sun. And every time I think of it or sit under it, my grandma's just right there with me. So I know how beloved hexagons are, but I also know what a pain in the tuchus they are. So, so many of you, this is the most requested block of the whole year this year. Can we do a hexagon? And I've been thinking about it and thinking about it and thinking about it. And I thought, well, we could do them like in a applique kind of thing, but then you're really restricted on how you kind of do a whole quilt that way, unless you're going to take a whole cloth, lay them out, and like that. That's not going to work. So I thought about it and I thought about it. And I remembered that I have a little template ruler that is half of a hexagon. And I thought, if I digitize half a hexagon, can I make it so that when we put it together, everything works out? We got it. T, you said, yes, I'm going to definitely email you for thoughts. Okay. Anytime, my dear. And so I've had it done for a little while, but this was the best time to bring it out to you guys. So you're ready to see it. Now I have made my sample for you in 2 colors. Oh, before we get there, should we do a couple quick memes? I just have 2. Do you want to go ahead and do them? Okay, let's do them. Bring them up. Cooking and cleaning are for people who haven't discovered. What else? Quilting. That's right. Cooking and cleaning, you know, I work like teaching outside of Build a Quilt so that I can pay someone in twice a week to come in and just dust and vacuum for me so my house isn't full of dust. Because honestly, between that and making beautiful quilts, I don't want to do anything besides quilting. So yes, I agree with this completely. Cooking and cleaning are for people who have not yet discovered quilting. And here we go. We got one more that we'll do. Let's see. Oh, I've got to turn this one off. Okay, hang on. I'm never going to get used to these cameras, I don't think. Let's see, one more. Oh, I kind of really like this one. This one, my best friend would understand completely. She does this with clothes. For an additional $4.97, my local quilt shop will provide me with a receipt that matches what I told my spouse I paid. Aha! I'm sorry. Come on, y'all. Put your hand up. How many times have you said, oh, I saved so much money? And you did, but you didn't tell them still that you went like, $200, $300, $400 in the fabric shop. Come on, let's raise our hands. I've done it. Yes, I've done it. Dave doesn't care a twit, but I hate telling him when I spend that kind of money on my stuff. Used to. I don't anymore, but used to I did. So I thought this was super cute. And I like the little incognito thing over the top. Yes, Susie. Sue's being honest with us. She knows. Yes. So if my quilt shop would give me a receipt like that for $4.97, I'd just keep it on retainer. I'd say, here's $50. Just keep it on file and make me one up every time I come in. We have a don't ask, don't tell policy. Hubby has his habits. I have mine. See, there you go, T. There you go. I love that. We have a don't ask, don't tell policy. Oh my gosh, I almost swallowed my tongue. Oh, that's too funny. All righty. All right. He loves yard equipment and tools. Hey, I'll bring that down. Because Dave builds sets for our local theater group, when he started, he really didn't have any of his own tools. He had like a hammer and a screwdriver and a few things, and that was it. So over several years, like at Christmas, I'd get him. He's a DeWalt guy, and so I always have to tell people he's a DeWalt guy. So I've gotten him like the Christmas sets and stuff where he's got an impact screwdriver drills and saws and all kinds of stuff, and he loves them. So, and I'm glad. I'm thrilled that he has a garage full of stuff that he loves to use and play with. So I think that's perfectly okay for guys to have their thing and for us to have our thing. Absolutely. Because I'm not going to have my thing. Sorry. Alrighty. Anyway, so those were our memes today. That second one about the price thing really tickled me when I did it, though, when I saw it. So the block, I did the prototype or the sample for you guys tonight in a 2-color. But you can do both halves because you're going to make these in 2 parts, 2 half hexes, and then sew them together. Are you going to have a seam in the middle? Yes. It's the only way we can do it and not have a Y seam. That's the bugger on this, right? If you do them as a solid piece, you get Y seams everywhere, and that can't flip. So I did it in 2 pieces. So you can do a solid 1 color, just do both sides the same color. And it's fine if it's that way. We're making what? What's the word? Patchwork. Patchwork is a bunch of little things sewn together. So it doesn't mind if your hexagons have a seam down the middle. Doesn't matter a fig, as my mother would say. I don't know where she came up with that, but that's her thing. Not to mention, I also knit the amount of hand-dyed wool I own. It's insane. T, we have something in common. I spin my own wool, my own yarn. Learned years and years and years and years ago. We'll have to chat about that sometime, but I love it. Yes, and I make my own socks every winter. I haven't been able to do like bigger project sweaters and stuff for a while because of my quilting obsession. But I always make myself a couple pairs of socks in the winter, and I always design and knit a new blanket for any new baby in the family. So every baby has their own. I got that idea from another knitter. So every baby in the family has their own blanket. The design is their blanket, and the blanket is called by their name. That's the way this woman did it. And so I started doing that, and I still do that. And my nephews and nieces are starting to have kids now too. So sometimes I have to get really busy and do that. But yeah, I love spinning my own wool. Back to our hexagon. So I've done this in 2 colors, and then you're getting a bonus in the pattern. So this is a segment single. It's 1 block, 1 size, but I have a little something to tell you about that here in a sec. But you're getting a bonus. You're getting the mosaic version of the half hexagon too. So if you want to do this as a mosaic, you can. Ready? Here we go. Ding, ding, ding. There is our hexagon. 2 different colors. Turned out really well. This will make, let's see, can I get this in here? I'm just going to do that right up there. This is a 5-inch hexagon, okay? If you guys like this, and I think you will because you've been begging for it, I will do a set with the 2, 3, and 4-inch. Just this, not the mosaic, but the solid hexagons. Because I know with a lot of quilts that use hexagons, you use smaller ones than that. But if you wanted to do a whole quilt with this size, you could make a really pretty quilt. And then, are you ready? Here is the half hexagon in the mosaic. Now, you'll see the demonstration for this and the solid half in the video. And as soon as we're done here, I'm posting the video to the YouTube site, but it is in your pattern. That will be the link to that as well. Some people like to see it, and then that encourages them to start making it. So I've been putting those videos out, but it's the same video that you will get when you get your pattern. And so here is our little half hexagon. And we're going to talk more about how you put this together here in just a moment. So I want to make sure I'm getting everything that I've got written down here. I've got a big old list for us. Okay. So when you make these, we're going to sew them together in rows. Now, can you make the flower and do it in rows? Yes, you can. And I'm going to show you that here right now. Let me bring the first one up for you. This is just a graphic. This is all half hexagons, but I've matched them up so they look like they are all solids. Okay, so if you wanted to do a whole solid hexagon quilt, you could easily do that. Or you could do it like this. Top could be mosaic, bottom solid. Top could be mosaic, bottom solid. This could be solid and mosaic. So you could flip them and you'd end up with a mosaic and a solid hexagon quilt. It could be really pretty. But the reason I wanted to show you this particular graphic is because what do you do when you get out here? So let's look at this first line here. This, now you see these in 3 parts. That's just how I had to put the graphic together. You're talking about these 3 pieces would be a solid piece, okay? So don't let that confuse you too much. So here is a half hexie, here's a half hexie, and here's a half hexie. This and this started out as a half hexagon, and so did all of these down the side. In order to get a squared off block, you put your half hexagons together in the order it shows, and then you're going to need to trim off the edge. And I'm going to show you that here on the magnetic board in a moment with the actual pieces so you can see what I'm talking about. So you can get your hexagons as you've done them and then shape them into a square for a quilt without a problem. Okay, now let me show you that same idea, but what it looks like and what you do if you want to do the flower. So here's our hexagon flower. This is probably one of the first things when people English paper piece that they want to learn how to do. And so again, this is put together in rows. But when you do this, it's probably a good idea to do this on a piece of graph paper. If I ever do this as a quilt for us, you will get a graph with this to show you where to put the half hexies in color and where to put the half hexies in your solid. Because what this is, it's rows, just like we saw before, but they've matched up to make the full color hexagons. And then all of these half hexies are all the background color. And that's kind of how my grandma's flower garden quilt is. We've got all these beautiful colored flowers, and then the back is all little white hexagons for the background. It's not difficult to do, but like I said, if you're going to do this, probably having some sort of a graph paper and graphing out where you want the color and where you want the background will help. And if I do this as a project for us, in fact, I would love to know, would you guys like me to do a video or a live class and we will do like one block with this flower? Let me know in the comments, because I'm willing to set that up for us. We could do it one day, maybe a couple weeks from now, where we set this up, we do a live, and that way you can ask questions as we go. Or would you like to see this as a Zoom presentation so that we can meet together? Just let me know. In the Zoom, I think we could work it out so that you guys could do yours as we go, and I can help you walk through putting it together. Let me know in the comments, and I will see if I can do that, because I think it could get a little confusing your first time out if you don't have a graph to do it with, but I would love to do this with you. We could maybe make one this size. If we did this size, this would turn out to be about 20 by 20. It would make a great either a wall hanging or a pillow top, something like that. But let me know and we'll work that out. But you can definitely work it so that you can do the flowers for the Grandma's Flower Garden quilt. But there are so many quilts that use hexagons in them. Sometimes you just need to place a hexagon or a half hexagon. Now you have the ability to do that, because remember, this is 2 half hexagons together. So if you only need a half hexagon, you've got it. You just make one segment piece. Okay, very simple. So now let me see if I can roll this up a little bit closer. Let's pull this guy down and let's see. Let me move my camera a little. Sorry about that, blocking out. Oh, there we go. Now you can see this better. Yes, my grandmother always made one, but it was falling apart and my mother threw it away. Oh no, she threw it away? Even if they're falling apart, don't throw them away. Oh. So yes, Ruth, are you saying you would like to do it as a either just say either Zoom or live, and that way I'll know what you're talking about. Hi, Kathy. So nice of you to join us. Thanks for getting home and joining us, Kathy. We love it. We're talking about the hexagon tonight. So when we're done, Kathy, or tomorrow, whenever, catch the replay to catch the first little bit. We've just been having a good old chit chat and a chin wag. So, but we love that you are here with us, dear. So here is our full hexagon, right? We'll use, I've got a couple of other little solid ones here too. So when I place this together, when I'm doing it in rows, I'll have my middle piece, or, you know, if it's an even number, whatever is the closest to the middle, right? And I will put my next piece together, and you're going to sew these together just like you sew any of your other segments together. Either. I'll go with the majority. Thank you, Ruth. Thank you for being so diplomatic about that. Thanks, Kathy. I'm glad you like it. Like I was telling them, Kathy, this has been the most requested segment piece all year long. I've had it made for a little while when it finally hit me how I could figure it out. But I've saved it kind of for this time of year. And so down here on this end, you could keep going. You would flip that and go like this. If you've ever done a tumbler quilt, it's kind of that idea. One goes up, one goes down, one goes up, one goes down. And that way you get a flat row all the way across, but you end up with some goofy points out here. That's not going to be a problem. So let's put this one up here, and that way I can show you how you're going to trim this. All right, so let's say we've got a whole line down here and a whole line here, and this is our end. Well, what are we going to do with this nonsense, right? This big V there. How are we going to do that? How are we going to trim it up? Well, it's not difficult at all. Take your ruler, whatever kind of a ruler you use, and you're going to find your innermost point, which is going to be right there. Hang on. I'm going to move my magnet so I can actually get my... Oh, don't slide on me. Don't slide. I need to get stronger magnets. These ones that came with this board aren't quite strong enough. But all you're going to do is come in here and put your ruler at that innermost point. Oh, gosh. I'm sliding. Hang on. Okay. So put your ruler at this innermost point, like so. And then cut straight down. And when you cut off these little edges, these little points, you will end up with a block, with a flat line, a straight line. And then that's how you're going to end up with a block on the edge. Let's take a look back here. So if I wanted to do this as a single block, that's what I would do out here. In fact, in this picture, I've already cut off the edges, but you can see when I did, I ended up with a nice squared off block. So it's not difficult to do, and you don't lose so much fabric or anything that you're going to feel like you've wasted anything, because by the time you trim it, you're only trimming off little bitty points technically at the end. But that's how you end up putting this together. So down here, I would go like this. And so you do them in rows. If you want your colors to line up, you just have to, that's where your graph is going to come in. If I want this to be this peachy color on my graph, I need to put it right above here as well. So I know in my next row where those colors need to be. And if we do this as a class, we'll go through a whole graphing process doing that flower. So it makes sense to you guys. So again, I know Ruth wants to do it. If anybody else wants to do it, let me know. Just say either live or Zoom, and I'll work that out so that we can do it. And that way you can make this flower, and you can make your own grandma's flower garden quilt if you want. Okay. And then of course, you know, I'm wacky about the mosaic. So you're getting the mosaic as a bonus too. So this is our newest segment single in the collection. $4.50, just like all the others. segment singles have been, but you're getting the mosaic bonus this time. I'm not doing it as a single on its own. You're getting this as a bonus. So you'll get the digital files for the solid and the mosaic, okay? And they're both the same size. So you could do this like so. You could do your hexagon. So half of it is mosaic, half of it is solid. Now I want to tell you something because we talked about this before on one of our other mosaics. Let me grab. Remember our friend who would like to do it live or Zoom is fine with me as long as we can go back and replay. Good. Live or Zoom is fine. You guys, now listen, ladies, you're not helping me out here. Ruth says you're good with either one too. Okay. I'll try to figure it out then. And I'll look at the schedule coming up in the next few weeks and see when we can do this as a class together. I personally would probably like to do it as a Zoom only because you guys can then like literally say and ask questions or show your piece and what you're talking about and that sort of thing. Does that make sense to you guys? Being able to go back and watch. Yeah, I agree with you, T. I like to be able to go back and do a replay as well. So I'm going to see if I can work it out to be a Zoom for us. I think that will be more helpful, especially the graphing part, I think, for a quilt if you're going to do those flowers. Set up. Okay. It does do it. Yep. Thank you. Thank you very much. All right. So remember when we did our mosaic snowball block, the friendship? And how are you guys coming on your pieces for that? I'm not quite done with mine yet. Sorry. And I showed you the second time how to add the white fabric so that you had just this, you didn't have as many little pieces to sew into your seam. Works great for this. Works great for our little flying geese one that we have out there. However, for your hexagon, I don't want you to do it that way because if you go to put it together with even with a solid, you want there to be a very natural progression from the fabric to the mosaic without a white piece of fabric there. Or if you want it to be a mosaic, you want the mosaics to flow together across that center seam line. If there wasn't the center seam line there, you could do it in this other way, putting the white fabric. But I think you're going to like it best if you just fill it with mosaic like I originally showed you how to do with the flying geese unit, okay? If you want to play with that a little bit and see what you like better, of course, you're more than welcome to do that. And then let me know, send me pictures or let me know what you've done and then I can share it with folks too. But I think because you're going to have that center seam, you're going to want those fabrics to flow into one another. And I don't think you'll get that if you do it with the white pieces in here. Okay. All right. And this is going to be really easy for you to make if you do the solids because you're going to only cut rectangles about this size. All the measurements, of course, are in the pattern, but that's all you're going to do is cut the rectangles. And so it's basically outline, throw your fabric down, stitch it down, move your pattern down to the bottom of your hoop, repeat. So you can get 2 halves, so 1 full hexagon in 1 hooping of a 5x7 hoop. If you're doing your larger hoops, of course, go crazy, put as many in a hooping as you want. And you can even try that scenario where we did the stabilizer on a roll, where we roll it out and just let it be continuous. Oh, I got a gnat in here. He's driving me crazy. That can work as well. But if you're going to do a 5x7, you can get 2 of these in a 5x7. A mosaic and a solid, or 2 solids or 2 mosaics, doesn't matter. Okay. All righty. That is our new segment single, the hexagons. Go wild, go crazy. The pattern is now available out on the website. When we're done, I will make the video go live for everybody, whether you're going to do the pattern or not. If you just want to watch it and see, you can do that. That is the video you get the link to in the pattern as well. So it's always going to be there. All righty. I've got a few more things, and it looks like we might get done a little early tonight, unless you guys have questions. Now, please, if you've got questions, please ask them. And I'm going to make myself a note here. We want a Hexagon flower Zoom get together. And we just want a meetup Zoom, don't we? Isn't that what we decided earlier? Just a meetup Zoom sometime this fall. That'll be sometime in the fall, but we'll set that up as well. So I've got those notes here for me so that I make sure that we do that, because I can't wait to meet you guys kind of semi in person in the 2D world, but you know, like this in the 2D world. Alrighty. So if you are a Quilt Lab subscriber, your monthly Q&A for August is actually coming out next week. T, I know you sent me a question and you were going to send me a picture to kind of show me what was going on. If that's been resolved, cool. But if you still need help with that, dear, just send me that picture and let me know. I'm happy to do that for you. But I didn't get a lot of questions, but I do have some things I can share and some recap I can share. So there will be a video out for the Quilt Labbers next week. And let's see. Are you guys ready to do the question of the week already? Holy cow, we're going to get that early tonight. I can't believe it. I thought this was going to take us forever, but I guess I talked quickly. Me and my seam ripper having quality. Oh, stop. Really? Oh, I'm so sorry, T. I think, hang on, just sit for a second. Whoops, oh gosh. I'm going to grab something because I think what you're talking about, I've got mine here. I still have to get binding on mine. I'm horrible about that. I think you're talking about the My First Build-A-Quilt project. Is that correct, T? Oh, Sue, honey, you're so welcome. You guys make this such a joy for me. You're so very welcome. So if this is what you're talking about, are you having trouble getting your pinwheels to come together in the center? If that's the case and you need help, you let me know, because I think in one of the videos I gave you a little trick, but maybe we can go over it together or something, because I'm sorry you're picking those out with your seam ripper. I don't like seam rippers. I do. So do you guys want to know what I use instead of a seam ripper? Do I have it sitting here? Oh, hang on. I'll be back again. You guys have seen these before, yeah? These little scissors with the hook. Yes, you are currently working on it right now. Now I'm totally goofed on it. No, I totally goofed on it. Oh, user error complete. Oh, no. If you need help, you let me know and I will certainly help you. I'm so sorry you're having a problem with that. But have you guys seen these little snips? I mean, we've all seen these little snips, right? With the points. They're nice. They're really great. Can't compare to these. That little hook is invaluable. I don't use a seam ripper anymore. I use these instead. I just snip my first stitch at the end, and like every 5 stitches, and that puppy just comes right apart. I love these. I have a pair over at the sewing machine, because if I'm going to take something out with the seam ripper, that's usually where I need it. These are over there. I have a pair here by the machine. I love these, and they've got that really good. I can't read your thing. ID10. I can't read that. That means something, and I'm just not getting it. I'm so out of it. I'm horrible at that. I'm sorry. T, I'm so sorry. But I love these. Where do you find them? Where do you find them, Ruth? Great question. Idiot. Oh, now I get it. I'm horrible at those kind of things, T. Honestly, you are not an idiot. No, don't ever say that. Please, because if you are, that means I am, and I really kind of sometimes could be considered so no, but never thought of that. Oh, Kathy, honey, these are the best for seam ripping ever. These I get from OESD's website. What are they? Oklahoma Embroidery something, but OESD.com, in their tools section, these little snips and this little hook. That little hook is just the most valuable thing ever for getting under any stitch for any reason. And I love them. I've been using these now for about maybe 6 or 7 years, and I just can't be without them. If I ever lost all of them, I would be very, very sad, because I love these. So OESD.com. is where I get mine. I think I might have seen another company have some, but I don't know who they were. Oh yes. I don't know who the company was, but they had that little hook, but they were more like scissors. They weren't the squeezy snips, and they were horrible. They were thick. They didn't get under your stitches. So OESD is the only people I know that make one that well. Okay. And I haven't seen others exactly like that. And you can't do the same thing with the regular snip. You got to have that little hook to just hook it and snip it and hook it and snip it, hook it and snip it. It works great. So, and they're not expensive or not expensive. They're like, I want to say maybe $9 to $12, maybe there may be less than that, or they may have gone up. I haven't bought any in a while, but they're worth every penny, no matter what they are. They're worth every penny. I got these when I was learning how to digitize, because man, did I have a lot of stuff to rip out. And so when you're taking out a lot of embroidery, like when you're doing things that are dense, you just go in and snip threads, and then you can like pull them all out at once. That's how I learned about these. But with quilting, I love them. I just love them. Alrighty. Are you guys ready for the question of the week? Because if I keep yakking, we're not going to end early. We're going to end late. Alrighty. So the question of the week, I'll explain it to you a little bit in case you don't quite know what I'm asking. But the question of the week, when I ask it, you put your answer in the comments, and then at the end tonight, I will do a little spin of the wheel, and whoever wins will win a free copy of our new Hexagon block. All you have to do is contact me with your with an email at support@sewuncommon.com if your name is called as a winner. That way, I have your email and I can attach the files and send it right back to you. And then I don't keep that information. Okay. So it's kind of for your safety. So you send me that if you're the winner, and tomorrow I will send you your free pattern, your free Hexagon pattern. In fact, I guess I should show you the pattern, right? I normally do. You know, today I was doing some filming today, and it felt like the first time when you see the video for this, if I look or sound like I'm really off, I felt it. I felt like I had not filmed or done any kind of instructional things for a lifetime. It was just really weird. I've been so busy with so many things that I just felt like I was completely out of it. So if it seems that way, I apologize. Here's the pattern. Okay. Just like all the other Build a Quilt patterns, you get all of your information. You do get a coloring sheet with this segment. And it's kind of, I'll show it to you. I show it to you in the video. It's kind of where the two hexie halves are split a little bit. So you can kind of play if you want to do, like, I've figured out if I just take my colored pencils and color in weird places, I can kind of make it look like it's mosaic. And then you can do them solids, whatever you want to do. But that's your pattern set. And you get all the digital files for the solid half hexie and the mosaic half hexie. So enjoy. Alrighty, are we ready for the question? We have a comment down here. Let me check it out. Kathy, how did I learn to digitize? 6 years of classes. And the best I can digitize are these things. Like, I'm still not really good at digitizing like fill designs and stuff like that for embroidery. I'm still pretty lousy at that. But that's not originally why I wanted to learn to digitize. I wanted to learn so I could create the Build a Quilt system. And so 6 years I took classes. The classes I took were not to teach me how to do this. The classes I took were to help me learn how to digitize for like an overall different kinds of digital industries. And I kind of transferred it into what became the Build a Quilt system for me. Okay. So that's how that happened. Norma Loveless. Hello, Norma. Hi, everyone. Getting on, and I'll watch the replay later. Been to the dentist. I'm so sorry. I hope everything's good. No cavities. Remember we were kids and we'd go, no cavities. And then they'd give you a lollipop that was sugar. So I don't care that you're just here now, Norma. So thank you for jumping on. I love that. And yes, please feel free to watch the replay. Wow, that's commitment. Well, it was, Kathy, but it was something I really wanted to do. So if there's something you really want to do, you'll do it. And it takes the time it takes. But and it wasn't like I constantly worked on it every day for 6 years. I worked on like a little project once a month for that kind of a period, or like 1 or 2 years, the classes I need didn't jive together. So I had to skip a couple, like what they would consider semesters, until the class came about again. But it took me a total of 6 years. So many notes. Cute, cute, cute. Alrighty, question. Let's get on with our question of the week, because somebody's gonna win this, or maybe 2 people will win tonight. Do you think we should do 2 people tonight? Yeah, let's do 2 people tonight. So 2 people tonight from the answers is going to win the new block set. So here's the question of the week. What is the one quilt that you have always wanted to make but haven't? And I ask that because there are a lot of quilts. I know I'm hang on, let me bring that down for a second and let me make that into a scroll. And then it's not there. It's not covering up my whole face. This chair sits me kind of low. And when I put up a whole thing there, that's a double line, lops off my face. What I mean by this question, what is the one quilt you've always wanted to make but haven't? For me, it was like the idea of the Grandma's Flower Garden quilt. Now, that was the first quilt I made with my grandmother. And I begged her until she said, okay, it's going to take us a long time. And I was cool with that. But there are because hexagons have traditionally been paper pieced, there are lots of beautiful quilts out there that are paper pieced. But with digital patchwork in the hoop, a lot of those can be transferred into segments and then blocks and things built that make it much easier. So I'm trying to think about a quilt that I've wanted to do for a while that was all paper pieced. And if I tell you the designer, you'll know her, Tula Pink. She is a quilt I really want to make, but it's paper pieced and I won't do it because I just don't do traditional paper piecing. I'm lousy at it. After 55 years, I know my strengths and weaknesses, and I'm lousy at English paper piecing. So I'm trying to decide if I can take her design and create it just for myself. I don't make those and then like sell them or teach them. But to make it for myself so I can make her quilt. So I'm working on that. So what about you guys? Oh gosh, we got a lot of comments coming in here. Let's continue. Hi, Kristen Sweeney. Postcards from Sweden. Have a kit and pattern, just haven't started. That's a beautiful quilt. Yeah, that's an absolutely beautiful one. Double wedding ring. Oh, Ruth, that's an amazingly beautiful quilt. That was, believe it or not, the 3rd quilt I ever made with my grandmother. She decided that for all of her children, my dad, his twin, the brother and sister younger than them, and the brother and 2 sisters older than them, so they had a passel of kids back then, that she would make them, each of them and their spouses, a double wedding ring. And so she recruited me to help her. I don't have, believe it or not, I've never made a double wedding ring for Dave and I, but I have made them, and they're laying on beds with my aunts and uncles and my parents. I did not make my parents. She wouldn't let me make the one for my own parents. So I think I made the one for his twin, my uncle. But that's a beautiful quilt. Baltimore album quilt. Oh, Rose, that's a beautiful quilt. Absolutely. Baltimore album quilt. I love that. Double wedding ring. Hi, Felicia. How are you, dear? Thank you for jumping on. Norma, the wedding ring quilt. And it's great. Wow. Wedding ring is really that. You guys really love it. It's a beautiful quilt, is it not? It's just a stunning quilt. It really is. But you've got to really be into the curves to do that quilt for sure. Maybe we'll think about a way to simplify that into the Build-A-Quilt system. I have to think about that. I haven't looked at that one in a while, but I could and see what we can do. I can't promise anything, but we'll put it on the list for future ideas and see if we can come up with that. And by future, I don't mean like in 2 months. It could be 2 years, but we'll see. I'll see if that can be if I can figure that out. And he said, oh, so many, but I currently obsessed with color wash quilts, and you want to make one. Beautiful, beautiful. Doug Lico, Chatsworth. Oh, Chatsworth is beautiful. Do you have his book? I have that. I have Doug's books. Those are beautiful. Would love to do the braided flying geese in the hoop. The braided flying geese in the hoop is really quite simple. You can use our flying geese units just like with this. You just end up chopping off the sides. It's pretty simple, Kathy. That's called a friendship braid. Let me write that down, friendship braid. Maybe we can work that into something we do either later still this year or next year, because that's a beautiful quilt. And you guys could easily do that one. You can do a braided border with a half hexie. Yes, Rose, you're absolutely right. You can do it with a half hexie. Do it with a half hexie, and you can do it with a flying geese either way. Half hexie would be easier, actually. Good call, Rose. Excellent. Awesome. Oh my good golly, we've got so many answers here tonight. So we're almost done now. So I'm going to go ahead and spin, unless there's anybody else who wants to jump in. Dive on in, and we will roll this, because we're going to do 2 winners, and I'm not looking because I get vertigo. Norma Lovelace. Congratulations, Norma. Congratulations. You've won the Hexagon, the new Hexagon pattern set. Please, I will give you that email again here in a minute. Just send me an email. Say something like Wednesday workshop winner or Hexagon winner, anything like that, so I know what that's about. And now we're going to do another one. I'm not looking. Rose, you won the Hexagon, dear. Congratulations, Rose. Again, just send me your email and I will send you out your copies. Let me, let me take the question down. There we go. Send me your emails at support@sewuncommon.com, ladies, and I will send those out tomorrow. So that was Rose Gray and Norma Lovelace. Okay, ladies, go ahead and send those to me, and I'll send those to you tomorrow. Congratulations. Yeah, wish them congratulations, ladies. Always supporting one another. That's a great way to do it. Yep. Alrighty. If you have any other questions while this is up, please feel free. You can always send me your questions, comments, things that you want me to do, like friendship braid. That's an easy one for us to do. I'd love to do that for us. Or I can start thinking about that double wedding ring. It seemed like a lot of you would like to make that one. Maybe we can make that a big Zoom project next year or something, if I can figure it out. We'll have to see. It's going to be, those curves are going to be a little tricky. But with digitizing, I might be able to do it. I don't know. We'll see. But you can always send me your information, your questions, all that at support@sewuncommon.com. And if you're looking to get this week's pattern, or this pattern, or if you still need to get this pattern from our Quilt Lab, this is our Quilt Lab pattern for the week, the month, the Inside Out block, then of course our website is www.mybuildaquilt.com. And all of that is over there. Now, folks, if you're new with us tonight and you were a little maybe hesitant about joining in on the conversation, that's cool. You're always welcome. There is no judgment. No, nothing like that here at Build a Quilt, okay? We're just all friends who love to quilt together. And we do it the 21st century way with our embroidery machine. That's how I got my friends to quilt with me. And if you have never tried the Build a Quilt method, and you have an embroidery machine and you have at least a 5x7 hoop, then at our website, we do have some free patterns over there. And we have the simplest one of all, the half square triangle. You know, you can make hundreds of quilts with a half square triangle alone. Go ahead and download that, give it a try, and then contact me if you have any questions or comments or concerns. I'd be happy to answer those for you, and we would love having you as part of the Build a Quilt family. All right, let's see, we've got some more of these. You just love the end. You do, Kathy. I love that you love that block. That block is really going to be, let me see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You're going to be making 8 of them in the quilt for this year of that inside out block. So it's basically going to be some background of the quilt, but you're going to be making at least 8 of them. Bye, Sue. Bye, Sue. Thank you for joining us tonight, dear. Great. Alrighty. So support in the website. Please remember, if you're new or if you haven't yet, subscribe, like, and share the video. Subscribe to the channel. Become part of the Build a Quilt family. We'd love to have you. And until next week, because it's 7 o'clock on the dot, have a great rest of your week, everybody, and go quilt life beautiful. It's been great to be with you all tonight. Bye for now.